Mic check, check, mic check. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm your host, trying to elevate. And I thought I fixed my problems with my mic, but it sounds like it's still fading out a little bit. So I'm going to start doing live so I can ask y'all that. But right now I'm just using it because it's easy to set up and run, do my video, and have it straight on the internet. I'm gonna start editing all that once I carve out more time. All right, so for now, like I said, assalamu alaikum. It's something that's been on my mind lately. I haven't been in social media like in these TikTok streets, but from what I have been seeing, I see that there is a conversation concerning black people and non-black people in their allyship. Basically, what that means is what I'm referring to. I mean is that if you look at any social injustice throughout the world, black people are always at the forefront of it. But when things are happening to us constantly, every day in America, every day in the Congo, every day in Sudan, every day in Uganda, every day in South America, all these different places, everybody is silent. Nobody is there to support us. So I don't know what's exactly going on TikTok, but I know it's been a lot of conversation on what exactly it means, the allyship. A lot of people really think they doing us a favor whenever they help us, and that's an issue, right? So this issue got brought up on the Marc Lamont show, and him and Van Lathan, who used to work at what's the name of that show? It's a show. It's like the tabloids of TV. TMZ. That's what it's called. Yeah. So TMZ. Van Lathan quit because he felt like it was having a negative effect on him and his black identity, him being the only black person there, or at least the only black male, and them kind of expected him to shuck and jive, and basically wanted him to act like he was grateful to be there, even though he earned his spot. It wasn't no handout. A lot of times we got to be 10 times better than the next person and do twice the work to get half the recognition. And a lot of times we are overqualified. Like if you take for instance, the conversation about Kamala, my concern was never that she wasn't qualified. My concern was, once again, that she was a Democrat and the Democrats was supporting the genocide. And I could not, in good faith, rock with that. So I couldn't vote for her. But a lot of other people tried to make it seem like it was a qualification issue. We all know that wasn't true. But, this is what they do. And by they, I mean the powers that be. You know what I'm saying? So let me see what is. So I do need to check my sound. So bear with me for 1 second. I feel like I'm hearing an echo. And it could be just me. Powers that be. You know what I'm saying? So let me see what is. My autofocus. Check my sound. So bear with me for 1 second. I feel like I'm hearing an echo. Let me see. And it could be just me. Powers that be. You know what I'm saying? So let me see. I think that's better. My autofocus. Check my sound. So bear with me for 1 second. I feel like I'm hearing an echo. I look good on here, but I look a little out of focus on there. Maybe I need to turn this light up a little bit. I think that's better. shadow with a drone all over my head. But yeah. So let me turn this mic up a tad because I don't want the sound to go out. But basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna react to this video with Marc Lamont and Van Lathan, like I said, and they are going to discuss some of the issues in the black community concerning allyship. This video with Marc Lamont and Van Lathan, like I said, and they are going to discuss. So bear with me. Some of the issues. Pull it up now. Black community. I do have that set up already. Now, I watched the whole show, right? And as soon as I watched it, I was like, oh, I gotta react to this, right? A lot of time I'm hesitant to do reaction videos because I feel like I was critical of people that only did reactions, and I guess I didn't really understand it. I'm a little older. Social media is for the younger generation, but I realized that if you want to reach the younger generation, I have a lot of experience in mentorship and things of that nature, and you have to reach out to the young people. And the way to do that is social media, and this is what they like. So these are conversations that they need to hear, right? This is not a Muslim issue. But the Palestinian issue shouldn't be restricted to being a Muslim issue, because we need the whole world to know this. We need everybody to say that this is wrong so that it can stop. So let's get to it. This is not a Muslim issue. But the Palestinian. My bad. I didn't realize I had that go. But I'm gonna start it now.
After October 7th, you were like, "Yo, I'm going to learn and understand what's happening in Palestine."
Right.
And you ain't just like do the Wikipedia thing. You didn't do the barbershop Google. You read the books. You looked at the histories. You read primary sources. You read some of the leading Israeli historians. You know, yo, that book right there, it earned my permanent respect. For those who don't know, he's holding up the birth.
This is the birth of the Palestinian refugee problem, 1947 to 1949. Now, apparently, this is a really hard book to get, but it's very beneficial. And like Mark said, even the scholars don't even read this. But if you look at who the scholars are nowadays, they're not really, outside of my man with the raspy voice. I can't think of it. What's his name? He real cool, calm, don't really argue. He talk really unique. Like, well, I mean, if you are serious about, understanding this issue, I sound like RFK. Sorry, that was a bad impression. But y'all know I'm drawing a blank. Since I had COVID, it's been hard for me to think on the spot when I'm put on the spot. So I think I'm having long COVID or something. But I'm gonna just continue playing it. I want to get my hands on this book though. So and I also want to talk to people in Palestine. I know my page is not big yet, but if you are connected, I would love to have some connections, boots on the ground. Not so that I can. I mean, if they want to tell their story on my channel, they can. But I think that on a topic of allyship, that we can help each other. When the George Floyd situation was happening, the Palestinians were really very implemental in helping us fight against tear gas and attack dogs and all these different things. They gave us a lot of useful information, and I think that that don't have to stop. That shouldn't just be restricted to protesting. You know what I'm saying? We at war, and we need all the help we could get. We need information on how to infiltrate these systems in a right way and dismantle them, and they have a lot of experience in that. So if this happened to come across your timeline, you're Palestinian and you want to be a part of the revolution in America, then, you know what I mean, holla at me. I'm going to continue.
Birth of the Palestinian refugee problem, 1947 to 1949. That is by Benny Mars. Benny Mars, one of the preeminent Israelis.
It was hard to find. Look, it's got a library card in the back of it.
How much you pay for that book, bro?
Bruh, I think it was like $100 or something like that.
You
Like,
paid $100
or
for
not,
a
maybe not
huge.
$100, but it was. Look, this book is very worn. Like it was hard to find. It was not easy to
Yeah.
find.
That is an old school book from one of the new revisionists in Israeli historiography. That's a major book. Scholars don't even read that book. They pretend they read it, but they don't read it. You read it. You took the issue seriously.
Yeah.
You learned a lot. You studied a lot. You asked tons of questions. You figured it all out. Not all of it, but enough of it. 14 months later, after watching this genocide happen.
Now, just heads up, Mark is basically setting the alley-oop. He is showing that when we get involved in these issues, we don't just scratch the surface and get this. I mean, some people do, but those of us that's serious about this and that's really supporting Palestine, this is what we do. Those who are against it, they talking out their behind. They talking out the side of their neck. You know what I'm saying? And the people of us that's serious, we do the work. You know what I'm saying? I got ebooks in my phone that became available after this, after October 7th, that I haven't finished, but I'm going through. And this is something that I've been talking about before October 7th on my TikTok page. You can go and see that documented oppression that been happening in the West Bank. And you hear all of the excuses they drop about Gaza and, the Hamas. Well, why y'all doing it in the West Bank then? You know what I'm saying? Why the same thing happening in the West Bank? You know what I mean? That's why I don't want to hear it. But yeah, let me play
it. After speaking up for Palestine, for Palestinian people, after offering critiques of politicians who were being trashed on this issue, and after watching maybe, I don't know if you agree with this, maybe a Biden/Harris not get reelected, not totally for this issue. I think the economy was a bigger issue, but certainly this was part of the mix of why a lot of people weren't rocking with them. Where are you on this question of Palestine, particularly as a Black person?
It's complicated.
Selling. People pay me.
It very much is complicated, and I gotta find how to mute this, John. Let me get that out. Bear with me, y'all. I'm very new to this. I'm trying to get better, but I'm struggling. Let's see. Nope, not that. That's the full. Okay, that's that. LG screen. How can I open it up? All right. Let me.
$100,000 a day.
All right, there we go.
And I'll be completely honest with you. It's complicated.
We back. Nope, sorry.
Being a Black American, for me at least, means that you've lived this life where you've continuously implored people to treat you and your community in a different way, based upon a moral understanding of human life. Like you look around and you go, there's no way that you think this is right. Particularly when you don't have a deeper understanding of the way the gears of America work. Like, look at how y'all got us living. You guys got to hate us. You guys must want us to drink nasty water. You want to kill us in order for white supremacy to steal resources and to make us the beasts of this country, the beasts of burden of this country. They have to convince themselves that they hate us, and they have to pass that hate down to make sure that the caste system is reinforced every generation.
All right, so what do you mean about stealing resources, right? That could mean so many things. You look on the continent of Africa, they stealing cobalt, copper, what's it called that they was getting from Mali and Nigeria. I'm drawing a blank. Plutonium. I mean, everything that you could think of. I don't have to sit here and name it. Everything that you could think of. But you might say, oh, but y'all not African, y'all not from the continent, da 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 da. Even if you talk about our community, right? There are, especially during Jim Crow, right? When black people got legislation that said that they were separate but equal, they weren't. They got dilapidated facilities and things of that nature. And a lot of cities, black people are relegated to ghettos, right? And they contribute the same amount of taxes as white people, but all of that tax revenue typically goes to the white side of the city. This leads to better roads, better transportation systems, better schools, etc. This is happening until today. You look at how schools are funded, and I'm from Philly, so like a city like Philly, where the schools are funded by house tax, home tax, and you have undervalued homes in the hood. You know what I mean? As opposed to you go out to the suburbs, they have overvalued homes. So that's what led to the real estate crash, the market crash in 2008. A lot of their homes are overvalued, and those inflated loans eventually the balloon popped, the bubble popped, and that's what caused the crash. Now, because of that, their schools are better, so it usually leads to them getting a better education, and
So
the cycle
even if it
just
didn't
continue to be
start
perpetuated.
out of look at the black skin, we hate them, and had to go there in order for us to exist in the space that we exist in America.
Right.
Right. And so you see that, and you're constantly litigating somebody else's morality. You can't possibly be moral because look how y'all letting us live in a country where everything's supposed to be equal and free.
Right.
3/5 of a human being. You raped my grandmother, my great grandmother, my.
All right, now when you say 3/5 of a human being, so I'm breaking these things down because not only do we need to know about this in my community, but a lot of times when immigrants come from other countries, they don't care to learn anything about our history here. And what I'm hoping to do with this channel is to talk about issues that affect Muslims in the black community, but also to bridge our communities. Where I live now is predominantly a Daisy community. I sent my son to an Islamic school, but it's really just a Daisy school. So it was a lot of contention between the different cultures. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, people, not just, I'm not going to say any particular people, but people tend to lead with their culture before their Islam. And that's unacceptable for me. Cause a lot of rifts. And one of the things is they think that they understand what we went through because they might have went through something similar. When India and Bangladesh separated, a lot of no, not even that. When that's wrong, my bad. Because India was colonized by the British, and a lot of places were colonized by the British. A lot of times, you think that colonial settler projects are similar to what black people went through in America, and it's kind of like a struggle Olympics. And you think that a lot of times they think that they understand, and they don't want to understand, and they try to use these terms to let you know that they down, and they're not down, because as soon as you say something that they don't like, they get upset and now I don't want to speak to you. So, like for instance, my wife told her sister in a heated conversation about race. She tried to get all offensive. I mean, she tried to jump on and get all offensive, and you don't understand. We went through this too. Da 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 da. It's not that. Basically, my wife said, "You can't say that. You can't tell me how serious something is because you're white passing." And she got so offended. She don't understand what it mean, obviously, because even in other conversations of a Pakistani woman admit that they're white passing. A lot of people don't know that they're like, oh, I'm brown. People know I'm Pakistani, and it means so much more than just your physical, the way you look. It means that you force your kid to not have an accent. It means that you force your kid to show up with an American flag instead of a Palestinian flag on cultural day. It means that you value that you abandon your mother tongue. It means that you abandon your cultural dishes for American dishes. All of these different things are you shedding your identity to brand yourself as more American. And a lot of times these people feel more American than us. You know, if it comes to these cultural days and we want to show up with uh the black, green, and red flag, they don't know what that is. You know what I'm saying? And ignorance is not an excuse. You know what I'm saying? Because you know it's just not an excuse. And I'm not saying these are bad people. These are good people. It's just sometimes, especially women, can be stubborn, not admit when they wrong, not be able to apologize. And while me and the husband are still cool, it makes it very difficult because I'm not beefing with her either. But if my wife beefing with you, you know what I mean, she want me to beef with you too. So it makes it really awkward. And on this particular instance, I gotta rock with my wife because you was dead wrong. You stepped out of your place, something you ain't had to say nothing about, and you didn't have to defend whiteness or America or any of these things, and you chose to. So, you know what I'm saying? But I'm rambling. Let me get back to the but that's what he mean by continuing to steal resources.
You lynched and killed my grandfather and my people just because they dared to live. And when you're imbued with that sense of morality and you keep coming back to it, it gets very difficult not to see people in that other situation and go, well, what about them too? No matter where they may be they the indigenous people of this land, of Canada, or any other place, any colonized group of people, anywhere, you start to see, oh my God, I feel one with that struggle. And that's always been that way. And with many of our great leaders and our great luminaries, they've adhered to that ethic, right? Then you get to a point in your life where you wonder, are you alone?
Yeah, and I think that's where we are. We're wondering if we're alone because when it's our turn to fight, nobody seems to be in our corner ever.
Has the trick of white supremacy been played so well that the world believes at its core that there's nothing lower than a nigger. So when everybody is grabbing at freedom, you'll reach and you'll help, you'll reach and you'll help, you'll reach and you'll help, and you'll ask for the smallest, tiniest bit of sacrifice from somebody else, and they'll go, no.
Yep.
I'm not going to lie to you.
You don't need that. It ain't that serious.
That crept into my mind, particularly around the election.
Okay, so that's where I thought you were going. So if I'm understanding you correctly, the election comes up, and there are a lot of people who are saying they're not voting for Kamala Harris because of the Biden-Harris administration's actions over the last 14 months, then 13 months, and because of what Harris has communicated she's going to do if she becomes president. There were Palestinians who said, I am not pulling the lever for genocide. It's a moral non-starter for me. There were Black people who were saying, look, we can't afford to go back to a Trump era. We're vulnerable here too. And we can't afford to be single issue voters, particularly in a way that's going to undermine our prosperity, our well-being. These were, I don't want to oversimplify the arguments, but those two things were happening. It sounds like, if I'm understanding you correctly, you were one of those people saying, yo, Palestinians, I need some support here. Or at least I don't need the moral critique of if yeah.
Not number one, number two. There you go. It's not
Talk
number one.
Number two.
So it's number one is, hey, I need you guys to vote for the people that sent bombs over there to kill your cousins and literally kill your cousins and your aunts and your uncles and the people that you share community and humanity with. Literally, I get that you can't do that. I get that you can't do that. But when I'm listening to the women in my community and the people in my community talk about what life is going to be like here under an emboldened, evil fascist regime, I don't need to be scolded, right? Because I have stood in opposition to the Democrats and I've criticized the Democrats and I've asked for more from the Democrats and I've asked the Democrats and I've done it. But what I need now is what Escape needs is a little understanding. Okay. So that's not what we got. What I feel like we got was an erosion of some of the coalition building that happened as we got moralized with by people who were saying, how can you, not looking at the situations that we live through, not looking at immunity for police officers. Man, Trump got elected. And after he won the election, the very next day, he made plans to undo an executive order that had set up a task force to monitor environmental conditions in Black and brown neighborhoods.
Yeah.
It's woke policy. It's gone. So Trump gets elected and right away, Black children don't get clean air and clean water and environmental protection. There's a cost, right? And so for me, I'm looking at it and I'm going, if you can't understand why we're rejecting white supremacist fascism in this country with the best vote that we got, and if we can't get a little bit of grace and understanding for that, I'm not sure that there's much of a conversation that we can have. Also, when you factor in that in many ways, Trump could possibly be a worse outcome for the people in Gaza than Biden and Harris are. I don't know that he will be.
All right, now my camera checked, so bear with me. I'm gonna make this point, and then I'm gonna change the battery. But basically, I hear what they saying, but I was critical. I was one of those people that was critical of Black people who were vocal about their still wanting to vote Democrat, and I use that as a criticism. You're so scared to for your lives to get worse that you're willing to neglect the lives of people who need it the most. And that was a scary thought. Like, you know what I'm saying? I did it in a way that didn't, well, I tried to do it in a way that didn't, demean people for that. Because it's very scary to think that the cops could get even more power to get away with the murder of Black people. They already do it at an alarming rate, and they get away with it most of the time. And that's a scary thought, because we are more likely to have encounters with police no matter what our profession, no matter how we dress, no matter how well we speak, what schools we went to, how educated we are, what city we live in, etc. It just doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that if cops get immunity, it's going to get worse for Black people, and that's probably at the top of the list. And what he is saying is not that we're not willing to, make any sacrifices, but hear us out. And I guess the people that he was around just weren't willing to do this. So I'm gonna run it a little bit and let y'all hear that again. And while I do that, I'm gonna change this battery, inshallah.
Because Mark, I don't know that it can get worse.
Well, that's just it. I'm
people in my that, and after he won the election, the very next day,
the CIA has particular skills in developing relationships. Life is all about relationships. So much of what you learn at CIA is applicable to everyday life. You need to know this.
I served as the director of the CIA's covert action capability. I've learned a lot about human nature.
I was the deputy director of CIA for science and technology. We would do things that people would say, that's not possible. You can think of MuseQ.
That's so cool. I was the lead analyst at CIA, in charge of telling the president what he needs to know. Yeah, pretty intense. Bias led to really the worst mistake the CIA has ever made. You can mitigate the vast majority of biases just by being aware.
The key to any great achievement is an amazing team that is unafraid, and that has to include unafraid to say what they think.
People would.
It wasn't charity.
Yes, that's my bad, y'all.
No one. I'm not owed anything. It wasn't charity.
While my camera was
so that I can have
before I got on, and that joint just zapped through the battery. I don't know what I was doing. I was trying to get some my sound bites right. My Rodecaster, you know, whenever they come out with a new, whenever they come out with some new technology, they make the other ones go haywire. Basically, they brought out a new Rodecaster Pro, version 2, and this joint been acting crazy since, well, I won't say since, I wasn't really using it, but when I got back and had to update it, it wasn't working for me. And not only that, my desk is a mess. Yeah, I'm going to get back to it. Let me start this again. My bad for the commercial.
Have a handle on how to be a better human being and how to be a more informed human being. And so rather than listen to them in that moment and have that conversation, what I did was take it personally. And my Stoicism journey says that you shouldn't do that, which is why I wanted you to read the text. What I do understand is that my feelings on this are complicated.
So I'm not sure if y'all caught that part, but because this was a part of a longer episode, right? And in the beginning of that original episode, they talked about the Jay-Z scandal and some other stuff, and I didn't want to get into that. As Muslims, as a Muslim, I have to tread this YouTube space very carefully. I don't want to fall into gossip and backbiting because that's haram, sinful. And like I say on this all the time, we're going to be accountable for the words that come out of our mouth. So the Prophet told us that he said, I can guarantee you Jannah, and no paraphrasing. The Prophet ﷺ said, I could guarantee paradise to the one who could promise me 2 things. That's their private parts and their tongue. Those are the 2 things that's going to get you in the most trouble in this world. And it's so bad, it's to the point that the Sahabas used to keep stones, small pebbles or small stones in their mouth so that they would talk less. And yeah, basically they would talk less. So let's be mindful of those things. If I didn't think that this was a conversation that was needed or these conversations were needed, then actually this is the reason why I haven't been consistent. Some of you guys, at least 200 of you, have been following me for over a year, and I just, I apologize that I wasn't doing this, but that is the reason why. So I hope you are willing to come back and, show me some love. So I'm going to continue playing the video.
And they are complicated because I want to do the best thing that I can do for people who need freedom and justice everywhere. But I want to do what I have to do for Black people who need freedom and justice here. Anybody who couldn't vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, I get it. Anybody who chided Black people for voting for Joe Biden and for voting for Kamala Harris, I don't get it.
I love Monday.com.
What's Monday.com?
You don't know Monday.com? This is Monday.com. It's a platform that helps us run our work.
So basically, chided just means like you talk down on them, or so yeah, you talk down on them or criticize them negatively. And a lot of people did that, and I don't see. I think it depends on how they did it. Because I did criticize her, because I didn't criticize her because she was Indian and trying to be Black or anything like that. Because, to me, the way the world is going to perceive her is as a Black woman. So if she's saying she's Black, she's Black. I criticized her for taking money from certain people, companies. I criticized her for lying. I criticized her for supporting Israel. So things that I would have criticized any Democrat for, or any politician for, or any person for. It wasn't because she was a woman or because anything like that. So we got to be able to criticize our leaders, or else we, shouldn't be choosing, shouldn't have the option. You know what I'm saying? That's part of our option, part of our decision, even though we didn't put Kamala on the ticket. That was another thing I criticized her for. I didn't vote for her to be on the ticket, so I wasn't going to vote for her to be in office. So, it is what it is. I'm going to continue.
I don't get it. Anybody that chided them from it, I don't get it. I feel like those people aren't giving Black Americans the same grace and understanding that they're asking for. And that happens way too often for me. And that's the best I can do.
I wonder if Donald Trump had unveiled an amazing plan for Gaza, for the Palestine, for the West Bank, for East Jerusalem, if he had said, I'm going to force Netanyahu's hand and give him a two-state solution, one-state solution, whatever. I'm going to restore UNRWA funds. I'm going to give the right of return. I'm going to do all the things that the Palestinian civil society has been asking for decades.
Destroy all the settlements, all of that stuff.
All that.
Turn the settlements over to Palestinians in the West Bank, the whole nine, yeah. If
Donald Trump says yes to all of that, are Palestinians voting for Trump, even if his domestic policy is the same?
I have no clue.
I don't. I'm not asking you to wager a guess, as much as I'm saying, based on what we saw in Michigan and other places, where people are voting for Trump for a whole lot less, I think if Palestinians were placed in a position where their political choices that best advantage them were at odds with the interests of Black people, I think they would say, "We're catching hell. We gotta look out for our own people," in the same way that they're doing this now. Now, the options are never that simple. They're always more nuanced and complicated, and oppressions tend to overlap. So people like Donald Trump don't move that way, right? They don't free Palestine and oppress Negroes. But I guess my point is, Black people are being asked in some ways to make political sacrifices and choices that no one else would make if their own people's well-being were on the line so clearly. And I understand the idea of saying long-term, this doesn't hold. We can't support genocide as a principle, but also as a long-term political strategy. It does not work if we continue to let the Democrats be the best option in town, and to let the Democratic position on Palestine be a successful one. I get that. I also know what you just said, which is that people are dying in Baton Rouge, that people are dying in Chicago, Detroit, Philadelphia. People are dying right now. We can make a choice that might make fewer people die. I would never morally chide people for making that choice, even if I disagree with the choice. But I'm watching the solidarity movement break down precisely at that point, because it becomes the moralizing. It becomes the not just I disagree with your choice, but suddenly I've got people telling me I don't give a damn about Palestine. I got people literally telling me I don't care about genocide. Yeah. And some of it's ego, some of it's my sensitive feelings, and some of it's like, who is you? Like there's all that. I get that. All that to say, I ended up for that and other reasons. I ended up where you were that election week. Part of why I couldn't text you back in good, offer you a good word. What's that? Like I said, I just talked somebody else off the ledge, and then talking them off the ledge, I was getting myself angry again.
Oh yeah, I ain't explaining it to you.
So I don't know if I could have.
I was thinking maybe he said that before this part started. Basically, he texted. He might have said it. I might have just missed it. He texted Marc Lamont Hill, and when he was in the thick of it, he basically was saying like what he said. I don't give a fuck about the Palestinians no more, and that's because he was, talking with somebody who was just very dismissive of anything that we as black people have going on, and trying to take the moral high ground as if, any decision different from their own was unforgivable.
You anything better than what I did, but I'm not in that place.
Look, the reality is, it's like I'm not gonna not care about incinerated children. It's impossible. Like I've been to, man, let me tell you something. This being black thing, it's not for the faint of heart.
Not at all.
Okay? It's not for the faint of heart. You're living in a country that your ancestors built. You're gaslit and told that they didn't have any hand in it. Every single invention that you have is stolen from you.
You do this, you won't have to worry about money again.
And now some people think when we say that every single invention we had was stolen, that is a gross exaggeration. The actual factuals is that we invented almost anything that you could think of. I was actually going to start creating content where I just sit in my room and explain how black people invented or led to the invention of everything that I can see, right? Or just sit in a park or take a train ride and, you know what I'm saying, something like that, and see how black people literally invented or contributed to every single invention in this country, right? From the cell phone to GPS to the cotton gin, of course, which made America rich. Everything. One of the proofs and evidences for that is because if you look at, so black people were considered property, and property couldn't inherit and it couldn't own. So therefore, if a black person had an idea, because he wasn't considered a person, he couldn't patent that idea. And the patent system single-handedly ripped every invention from the hands of every black person, and it automatically went to their master. So it wasn't until later on that when black people became, I guess, 3/5 of a man, which he also mentioned, which is in the Constitution, which was ratified, I believe, but never taken out. That's when we were able to profit off our own ideas and begin to have intellectual property. But before that, we couldn't have any property, and inventions are considered intellectual property, so we couldn't own anything. So yeah, that's America. That's some history for you that if you from a different country, you might not know. And if you think that systemic racism is not true just because white people say it's not true, then I hope that helps you understand that white people be lying. My bad, hold on.
Expected to be a caretaker.
Let me back up a little bit.
You're doing all of this while you're also expected to be a caretaker for America morally, and a caretaker for America sometimes intellectually and spiritually. You're the unheralded mammy. And part of it is because you continue to ask people for solidarity in your own right. If we're being honest, you ask people for solidarity in your own right. Like,
now, a mammy is something else that you might not understand. It's an actual term that was used to demoralize and depict black people as being inferior. Let me show y'all what I'm talking about, or what he talking about, for instance. And it's basically like it's anti-black imagery. Here we go. Why can't I bring this over? I'm having trouble with my mouse is coming over, but I can't bring the picture with me. Maybe because this is because it's a full screen right now. Let's see if I shrink that. There we go. All right, Mammy. It's the most well-known and enduring racial caricature of African-American women. Now, I'm not sure if you know what caricature is, but caricature is a picture or description of or imitation of a person in which a certain striking characteristic are exaggerated in order to create a comedic, more grotesque look. And the main form of caricature for black people in America were big lips, big eyes, ape-like features, like different things like that. So one of the more famous ones was called the mammy. It was usually a overweight black woman with like huge breasts, like a long gown, and bandana tied around her head like this. And let me finish reading the top mammy caricature of African American women. The Jim Crow Museum and Ferris State University has more than 100 items with the mammy image, including ashtrays, souvenirs, postcards, fishing lures, detergent, artistic prints, toys, candies, and kitchenware. This article examines real mammies, fictional mammies, and commercial mammies. Now, they have this much stuff because it was so prevalent. It was on everything because this is what white people did. Besides sending caricature to each other, they would go and take souvenirs from lynchings, whether that be a man's finger, his hair, which they would use to make couch cushions and pillows and stuff like that. They would take their children to these things. Each person would take a turn stabbing or shooting this person. Then they would take turns cutting off pieces that they would then later sell or give away as gifts during the holidays. So a lot of white people family actually inherited these things as well, and they still have a market. They still have people who buy these type of things for enormous amounts of money. So I'm gonna continue. Let me move this out the way. Actually, let me show y'all. I want to show y'all the actual image of the whole thing, not just a statue. Let's see images. So you got here a woman playing the mammy. Yeah, that's probably the most iconic version of it. Here we go. Is this Esther Rose? No. Yep. So that's what we got. I think that's a good. That's a good enough. That's a good enough lesson on that, I guess. What y'all think? Let me know in the comments what y'all think. Was that clear enough and enough for y'all to understand what a mammy is? Let me rewind it so maybe now that you've seen it, you might get the reference that he's trying to make, okay? Hold
on. Sometimes intellectually and spiritually, you're the unheralded mammy. And part of it is because you continue to ask people for solidarity in your own right, if we're being honest.
So, so another part of the mammy thing is it was usually predicted, not predicted, perpetuated, or the stereotype was usually perpetuated, and what's called minstrel shows, which are shows that white people used to do with no actual black actors, but they would dress up in blackface and things of that nature, or they would have, afterwards, after they gained their popularity and segregation ended, black people were able to do shows, but they were relegated to these roles, and they would have to like dance and be foolish and do buffoonery, and that's where the word coon comes from, because these were the type of people who, kind of took pride in getting selected to be, an ape in a white minstrel show, or, some unassuming black character in some of these shows. I'm gonna continue now.
You ask people for solidarity in your own right, like you ask people to post a black box. You tell people to stand up and be anti-racist, and we need everybody, all hands on deck, and you should support this and you should support that. And so that gets thrown right back in your face. I'm over that too. I don't care about any allies whatsoever.
You full of shit, man.
I swear to God, I don't care about anybody that takes the time to be an ally for black people. Go for it. I don't believe in it no more. It comes with too many strings.
And thrown in your face, he mean, like, a lot of times what people in other communities will do is they'll kind of, and I think he's going to touch on it, but they'll be like, oh, I haven't bought a phone, complain like, I haven't bought a phone this year because I'm trying to stand in solidarity with the Congo, or, like some, brag about their hardships, and I think he's going to touch on it. If he don't, I'll come back to it.
Like it's like, if we're playing basketball together, I'm not setting a screen for you so I feel good about myself.
Right.
I'm setting a screen for you so that we can score.
So we can win.
Not so that you can score, so that we can score. And if I have to set 6 screens so that we score, then I'm gonna do that.
That's what teammates
like
do.
If I can't rely on you to set a screen for me, if I can't rely on you to make the game easy for me, then we're not really a team. And what I'm starting to see is that a lot of this allyship is conditional, is superficial, is cosmetic. It doesn't really matter. It comes from people's weird infatuations with black culture. It comes from their weird fetishism of black culture. It's not rooted in any actual politic or political theory or philosophy. It doesn't come from anywhere that's whole or real. All it comes from is vibes. And so I'm sick of having to see people tell us, look what we did for you, now do this for us. I'm getting weird about it because people aren't willing to kind of get into the nuance of it. So what I'm interested for black people right now is power, productivity, and peace. The power of our voting block, the power of our economics, the power of what we produce, the power of how we produce it, and the peace that we can get from enjoying both of it. And I don't give a damn who wants to be a part of it or who wants to get down with it.
Samira writes back and says, and then we're going to move on to another topic before we go. I can't believe this is even a discussion. Not everything revolves around black people and our struggles. Entire families are being wiped out. This is not.
See? This is the type of stuff right here, right? And let me see, is she black? Yeah, it look like she black. Maybe she Ethiopian or something like that. But yeah, and yeah, but I it's a tough one. And that's why you have to be graceful about it. You can't just attack. You can't do this because people have legit concerns, and everybody not genuine.
Not about us. It's utterly disgraceful. And that dovetails with what Rosability asked, which is, Mark, could you please ask Van about his thoughts and feelings about Palestine separate from the U.S. election? I don't want to belabor this point too much, but because I think to Rosability's question, I think you've been very clear that you find this to be a genocide and disgraceful.
My bad. And
you've been critical of the Biden administration, and you've been critical of the global community for how they've handled Palestine, and you've been very articulate about that. And to be clear, it's on earlier episodes of Night School people can check out. But so I don't want Rosability to feel like I can answer her super chat. But for Samira here, what do you say to the person that says it's not all about you?
It never is, Samira.
There you go. He showed
I understand what you're saying. It never is. It's always about somebody else. It's never about us. It never is. It's not about Don Imus calling the ladies nappy-headed hoes. It's about hip-hop.
This is the phone grip that doesn't suck. No other phone grip can do this.
They killing me with these commercials, but this John, they keep hitting me with this one because they know I like that John. And they know it, but I'm not spending that much on no case. I think that John like $80, something crazy. But yeah, let me get back to it.
Using him being a criminal. It's calling the ladies nappy-headed hoes. It's about hip-hop.
This was back in 2000 or something, early 2000s. Don Imus, who was the coach of a popular team called I forget who he was. I think he was a coach of a team. He called black women nappy head hoes, and he used an excuse, and I forget the exact controversy, but yeah, but he's right. He was saying that when he did it, his excuse wasn't, nobody tried to hold him accountable. They instead attacked hip hop. And Jay-Z, Jay-Z was involved somehow. And Jay-Z actually put one of his songs, Scarface the movie did more than Scarface the rapper to me. So that's not the blame that all that happened to me. I gotta look it up because I alhamdulillah, I stopped listening to more music. I think I'm going on like 8 years, 9 years that I've been not listening to music. I slipped up a few times, but alhamdulillah, make dua for me. Haven't been listening to music. It's finally going out my head. When I say I used to be able to quote every Jay-Z verse, like every Jay-Z verse from beginning to end of 13 albums, right? He got more than 13 albums, but the new ones I haven't, like I didn't really get to, Watch the Throne and all that. I didn't get into, but 13 albums a whole, I was able to, probably not so much Reasonable Doubt, which was good, don't get me wrong, but the beats, the vibe of that joint was just so smooth. It wasn't even about the lyrics for me. It was about the story and going on the ride. You know what I'm saying? Like Reasonable Doubt really took you on a ride, and it just felt like riding in that Lincoln Continental with Cuddy through the hood, vibing. You know what I mean? And some of y'all not gonna get that, but that's what it was like. You know what I'm saying? And alhamdulillah, I gave it up, man. Now the thing that do that for me is the Quran, and I'm working on learning Arabic so that I can really benefit from listening to the Arabic, inshallah. So make dua for me, inshallah. I forget what I was about to look up. Don Imus, Jay-Z has something to say about it. Oh, yeah. Let's look that up real quick. Scarface the movie did more than Scarface the rapper to me. That's what I was saying. Don Imus. Who is, I think Imus is Jewish, actually, too. Here we go. All right, hold on. I got so many advertisements trying to get up out of them. It's not letting me. They put, you know how they do. They put the X in the weirdest spot, and then they have time. They have a time slot in another spot, so you can't find it. What's going on? It's not allowing me to get out of this ad, man. Let me see if I can just escape. Oh, continue without registration. There we go. All right, Don Imus remarks concerning the Rutgers women's basketball program. What did he say? I gotta find all of that. I gotta find something else. Now that won't let me out there. Oh, he is a radio host. Sorry. This isn't cutting it. Let's see. I'm tired of messing around. All right, I just asked ChatGPT. 2007 it was. So Don Imus, a radio host, sparked widespread controversy in April 2007 when he referred to the Rutgers University women's basketball team as nappy-headed hoes. During his nationally syndicated show, the comment made a joke in a joking manner, followed a reference by his producer, Bernard McGurk, who described the team as playing like jigaboos versus wannabes, and that's another racist term, jigaboos. A jigaboo is, I don't know how to explain that one. A comparison to a scene from the movie School Days by Spike Lee. The remarks were widely condemned as racist and sexist, leading to significant backlash. Activists, media commentators, and public school figures criticized the comment for perpetuating harmful stereotypes about black women. In the aftermath, Imus apologized for his remarks, but the controversy led to his firing by both CBS Radio and MSNBC, which simulcast his show as at that time. I don't know what that means. The incident also reignited discussions about race, sexism, and media accountability in America. All right, so Jay-Z addressed the Don Imus controversy in his song "Ignorant-ish," a track featuring Beanie Siegel, which appeared on his 2007 album American Gangsta. In the song, Jay-Z criticized the hypocrisy of outrage over Imus remarks, while broader social issues like systemic racism and the portrayal of black people in media often go ignored. Here's a notable lyric referencing the controversy. This is why I don't be listening to the news. That noosh, how you going? How you know they going accused? I'm just the author that sparked the darker, taller, who told the Imus that Imus was a shock jocker. I don't even remember that. I thought it was connected to the bar I said, but my keyboard keep going out. As y'all can see, I'm not the fastest typer or good typer, so just give me a second. So Diamond Imus attempted to partially deflect blame by pointing to hip hop culture as the source of similar language. He argued that the kind of derogatory term he used, such as hoes, were pervasive in hip hop music and that this contributed to normalizing such language. Imus said, I can't get any place with you people, but one of the problems is you can't make fun of everybody because some people are privileged to be made fun of. I'm not a bad person. I'm a good person who says something bad. But what I did was a mainstream comment that was broadcast across mainstream radio. He later added that the criticism of his comments should be extended to rappers and hip-hop artists who use similar terms to describe women in their lyrics. Imus essentially suggested that his remarks reflected a cultural issue and not just his personal bias. This attempt of to deflect responsibility by blaming hip-hop was widely criticized as an inappropriate justification for his action. Critics pointed out that Imus was an influential broadcaster and his words carried a different weight because they were spoken in a public and professional setting about a specific group of college athletes rather than being a part of a creative or artistic medium. Many argued that his comments reflected deeply ingrained racism and sexism independent of any influence of hip-hop, which I agree with. And let me find the Jay-Z line. Oh yeah, it is the same song. Okay. So he said Scarface the movie. It was the line you're referencing is from Ignorant-ish by Jay-Z. The full bar goes Scarface the movie did more than Scarface the rapper to me. So that ain't the BAME that all this that happened to me. Mama ain't raised no fool. Put me anywhere on God Green's earth. I triple my worth. Mother, I will not lose. You don't know what you do. That was my John. But yeah, he addressed it in that song. I can't recollect exactly how. I gave you the words, but I can't make it flow. I forget how it flowed. All right, so my bad. Off on another tangent. Let's get back to the situation at hand. My bad, part of people. I got a bad habit. Going off on tangents. I bought these shades off of Timo. I needed some shades for the show because these lights be bright, right? In order to get this look that I want, I be having to put the light in a certain spot. The shades help. And I think they women's glasses. You'll see how pointy they is on that. But they work. I'm using them for the function, not the fashion. So let's get back to it. There we go.
It's not about George Floyd getting choked out. It's about fentanyl and drug use and him being a criminal.
Go back a little bit.
It never is, Samir. I understand what you're saying. It never is. It's always about somebody else. It's never about us. It never is. It's not about Don Imus calling the ladies nappy-headed hoes. It's about hip-hop. It's not about George Floyd getting choked out. It's about fentanyl and drug use and him being a criminal.
It's always about something else.
It's not about police brutality. It's about
people
protecting the police. It never is.
Accusing us of pulling a black card.
It never has been. I'm saying it just can't exist like that in perpetuity. It's never. It's not. I get what she's saying, and I get why she feels that way. But I'm not a victim. I'm a well-to-do black man who.
That's another thing. Whenever you point out the hypocrisy and the systemic racism, that's what they say. Oh, you got a victim mentality. Never say this to Jews, though. They never say this to them.
Got past all of that stuff, who comes from a great family, a father who was good at a lot of things, a mother who is a deity, it's not, it never is. So there you go.
Heard.
So that's how I feel. But like for me, go back to that other question about what organizations.
Oh, yeah. Somebody wrote in and said, A-Rob wrote in with a super chat. Thank you for your generous donation. But in being adjacent to celebrity class, you do that for rich people and whites. Unity is not transactional. What orgs are band connected to?
I'm connected to all kind of orgs.
Transaction. Being adjacent in and said,
the question about.
I wanted to stop and read this because he kind of breezed past this comment. This is such a low intellect argument. Genocide is bad. Full stop. When did they ever say that genocide wasn't bad? You know what I'm saying? This is part of the problem. People always try to silence our voices when we're not talking about what they want us to talk about. When we talk about stuff that make them feel uncomfortable. When we point out how they fuel this machine of white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? And especially in the Muslim community, it's always, no, brother, there's no racism in Islam. The Prophet ﷺ said, no, yeah, I know what the Prophet said. Do you know what the Prophet said? And do you live by that? You know what I'm saying? Because if you lived by that, then you wouldn't put these stores in my neighborhood and objectify my women. You don't know how many times I went into, halal meat stores and had, not necessarily my wife because I wasn't married at this time. Granted, I shouldn't have been with the girl either, but like the men eyeballing my girl, like, flirting and all of that. You don't have no idea how many times like brothers would hit me back when I expressed interest in their daughters. Like the list goes on and on. But we all got a story about when that dad, when we was cool, good enough to be, the guy that you speak to at the masjid, but not good enough to be your daughter's husband. You know what I'm saying? We all got that story. So whenever we try to use our voices, y'all step in to safeguard white supremacy. And that's very much a problem. And that's in the Arab community, the Daisy community, the every non-black community. I would say the only community that I don't see and I don't have as many interactions with them, and alhamdulillah, they're the majority of the Muslim world, is Indonesians. I never see them do that. But let's continue.
What organizations?
Oh, yeah.
So now they just gonna try and ask them like, oh, what are you doing to fight the problem? Like, there's always people that's not doing the work, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, come on,
somebody wrote in and said, A-Rob wrote in with a super chat.
Basically just want to tell
but in being
what organizations he
adjacent to celebrity class, you do that for rich people and whites.
Oh, so yeah. So then they criticizing him because basically his job is to, his job was at TMC to follow them and break down the stories to be up in a business. So he's saying that, but in being adjacent to celebrity class, you do that for rich people and whites. Unity is not transactional. What organizations are Van connected to? So they basically saying that you do the same thing. Like you only talk about things when it benefits you. And that's so much not true. You know what I'm saying? They think just because it's not on TV or it's not on YouTube that you're not doing nothing. And the truth of the matter is that as black men, we're always doing something. We always doing something because we have to always do something. You know what I'm saying? We have a responsibility, especially if you have a little bit of success. You really have a responsibility. We don't have the option to only focus on our families and keep it pushing. Our communities need us. You know what I'm saying? Our communities rely on us. You know what I'm saying? It was hard for me to leave Philly. It's hard for me to leave Philly because that's probably one of the biggest and few things that I did that was strictly for my family. You know what I'm saying? Like exclusively, I put my family above everything else in that instance. Everything else, I'm always thinking about the community. You know what I'm saying? When I stopped this brother from abusing his baby mom in front of the child, you know what I'm saying? I'm doing that for the community. You know what I'm saying? At the expense of my family, because this dude can hurt me. You know what I'm saying? This dude could hurt me if he feels some type of way. You know what I'm saying? One time, a dude asked me, "What, you know him?" Like, bro, you out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? Chill. And it get like that sometimes. But we have a responsibility. Islam came to strengthen community. You know what I'm saying? We can't be cowards. We can't afford to be cowards. We can't afford to be selfish. You can't tell your wife you want a second wife because it's the sunnah and because you have responsibility to the community when you exclude yourself from the community outside of, you know what I'm saying? You only willing to help that sister if she's giving you something, if you can marry her and sleep with her. That's wrong. We have a responsibility to take care of the orphans. We have a responsibility to take care of the widows. We have a responsibility to take care of the masajid, our wives, our children, the roads. You know what I mean? The Prophet ﷺ said that you'll be rewarded for taking something out the road. As Muslims, we have a huge responsibility to be honorable and to stick up for our communities, to show up and show out for our communities, educate the youth, guide the youth, support the masjid and the community in any way and every way that we can. And when it comes to policing black people, stop it. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all quick to say that black people are nationalists, as if y'all not. As if Saudis aren't nationalists. Algerians aren't nationalists. Moroccans aren't nationalists. You see was this last year? Last year, the Moroccan president came out, said something derogatory about the black Moroccans. Assumed that a lot of times y'all Moroccans like to assume that people are sub-Saharan. They call you sub-Saharan if you brown, as if the I'm drawing a blank. The Berbers wasn't brown. You know what I mean? Egypt, nationalists. You know what I'm saying? I say Algeria not because they are racist. I say they another people that don't really act funny like that. They had a great communication with the Black Panthers. They understand liberation. You never hear them saying like, oh, yeah, that's nationalistic, brother. That's un-Islamic. But meanwhile, y'all practice elitism. That's a whole nother story, man. That's a whole nother story. UAE, Qatar, the nepotism. You know what I mean? In these countries, you can't even get a job, a proper job, if you ain't Qatari or Emirati. But to each his own. It's another story for another day. I hope that y'all enjoyed hearing this conversation and that y'all were able to learn some things. It's a rich history of black people in America. And when y'all see America, when y'all hear the word American, think about us. Don't think about white people. I know y'all love white people. I know y'all love them, right? Hold on, let me play something for y'all. Just the audio.
A one-way ticket to...
Bro, you be getting...
He said, you said...
Oh, here we
go. He said, you said, what about the white folk? I said, fuck them white folk.
Yeah. Seriously.
He said, you said, what about the white folk? I said, fuck them white folk.
Facts all day. You feel me? Now, I know y'all love them. When you think of America, you need to be thinking about this right here. You hear me? You need to be thinking about this right here. Not this. This. You hear me? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Like, subscribe, share. I'm going to try to get with y'all next week, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.